The guy who took me gliding in New Zealand, both after the accident and about a decade ago, introducing me to a new way of flying around New Zealand, he asked me this morning if I'd been solo yet at Le Motte, like since the accident, because they've got all the hand control aircraft, and yeah, you'd think since I've flown there solo before quite a bit, all around these hills, that maybe I could. But the main problem with a lot of things when you're disabled is the bureaucracy and the paperwork. So the club I've been flying with in France, they already have the Duo, which is the classic two-seater performance glider. That's out of action at the moment, not because of any reason apart from paperwork, but it's going to be sorted soon, I think. And the ASK 21, which is another classic trainer, uh, and they're basically the two-seater gliders that have hand controls if you have them modified. But my club already does have that stuff, so it's great. So I've been flying the K21 around heaps, and yeah, most of the time I've been flying it. It did take a little bit of getting used to. I was doing the wrong thing sometimes, and just with the extra mental load, I'd sometimes forget the important things because it wasn't automatic yet. But I think I've made good progress over a week. And yeah, the main problem with actually going solo is getting the medical sorted. Now, there's a disabled pilot with a more or less similar injury to mine who I've been flying with, before the injury as well. And he has basically said that for him, he has to do it every 2 years. Now he goes to Toulon, which is a few hours drive away, if you can drive and you have a car and public transport. Yeah, it's going to be a lot more complicated. But before that, he was going to Paris, and he'd do all these trips to Paris just for the purpose of getting his medical. And he said the process is a minimum of a year. So probably I'm going to try to start that process when I'm in Spain, and then I'm going to have to deal with all the paperwork there. I actually asked about Romania, but they don't have any hand control aircraft there. So yeah, it's going to be a long process. It means that any flying I do in the next year, or who knows how long it's going to be, is going to be in a two-seater, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. But yeah, paperwork, it's the big drama. The other thing I was thinking of is getting a voiture sans permis, which is a car without regulations, permission. And that's a tiny little electric thing. They're about €8,000 and they take 3 hours to charge. You can go about 75 k's. I'm not 100% sure how comfortably I could fit the wheelchair in there, but yeah, like once I got the wheelchair in there, there's not room for really anything else. But I'll just leave that for the moment. Go to Valencia. My girlfriend's on her way to Spain today, so she's going to try and sort out something for us there, and I'll try to do some other projects that I've been putting off for my whole life because my legs have been working. I've been all over the shop. Now that I'm just chilling out, like I'm actually pretty good at doing nothing. The process in Spain for getting the medical is, well, basically the first step is to fail the normal class 2 medical, which everyone has to get. And then you have to do this other stuff. But apparently the most difficult thing they reckon is that you have to get in and out of an aircraft by yourself, demonstrating that you're strong enough or coordinated enough or whatever to do it. I'm not exactly sure why, because you always have people helping you, but maybe it's just a benchmark that for other reasons. And yeah, the EASA, the Europe body that regulates it, tells you when and where you have to do it, and you just have to turn up, and that's it. So it'd be pretty impossible if I lived in Australia and I wanted to get my license over here. And if I live in Australia, there's no hand control aircraft. Well, there's one, but it's out of action, and well, it's the other. It's 5 hours flight away, plus to drive, plus whatever. So it's all pretty tricky, but yeah, it's regulations, man. And with the car, I've heard from a disabled person who has a certified modification done to their car, but is broken, and they've pretty handy, so they made their own system. But they left the broken one in there just in case there's any trouble with the police and they can show that they've got something certified. So some of it's a bit silly. And I don't know, like with such a small niche industry, maybe it's harder to get these things changed, and there's all the liability stuff which makes it hard. And I think France and Spain aren't the best countries in terms of bureaucracy. They seem to love it quite a bit. But yeah, that's the situation. So in my lifetime, I've only owned one car. It cost less than $1,000, and I owned it for a few years. But I've driven, I don't know how many, probably hundreds of cars, like rental cars, work cars, friends' cars, my parents' car, my I don't know. The whole point of driving is that you don't need to own one. You just have the license. You turn up, you pay some money or whatever. They give you the keys, and off you go. But with the hand driving in Australia, there's no such thing as a portable hand control that is certified. I've got one that's not certified in the room there, and it just means that you can't do that. So you have to have your own vehicle modified, which is apparently $4 or $5 or more if you've got a new vehicle, because yeah, whatever. But yeah, it just means you have to have the same thing that you're tied to, which is, it's just a disabling thing, really. So yeah, the voiture sans permis, I mean, you can't take it very far, but if you have to leave it in one place anyway, so yeah, I don't know. So the good news is that I should have time to work on this book project, which I am basically continuing what I started 6 years ago, and finishing editing all the footage, including some pretty awesome stuff from Peru and the last full season in Europe, and a whole bunch of stuff. And then maybe making some more YouTube videos where I just make it a little bit more accessible and just talk about things and just talk about some flights instead of just having it all with the wind noise and the, you know, whatever I filmed hacked together. So there's things to do, but it takes me quite a while to do anything, even when I'm not distracted by legs carrying me all over the shop. So yeah. I thinking of going back to the gliding club too. That could be another distraction. I thought part of the reason to go there is there's good Wi-Fi here. It's just a bit patchy and on the edge. But I brought my laptop, but I didn't even turn it on once the whole week I was there.